This is Power Breakfast on Citizen TV, the only way to wake up and get your day started. We also have some very interesting conversations here if you've been tuning in this week. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to my guest. We're going to talk about what it's like to look for a job in 2016. Social media, technology, all of these things have changed the game, so we'll be having that conversation with my guest today. I've got David Abbott here. Welcome to the show. You're a management consultant? And also deal with matters of human resources, if I'm correct.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Welcome to the show. And next to David is Malicha Guyo. Welcome to the show. You're a student?
Yes.
Which school are you in?
Strathmore University.
Okay, Strathmore in the house. Kevin Olenja, how are you? Tell us which school you go to.
I'm a student at African Nazarene University.
Okay.
A fourth-year law student.
Okay,
yes.
Awesome. Glad to have you all here today. I'm sure people on social media will be very keen to hear the discussion we're having, because this is real.
Yes.
People are graduating, looking for jobs even before, they graduate. Is this something that either of you have gotten accustomed to? Have you started looking for jobs?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What's that experience been like?
Okay, it's not what you expect. You know that it's going to be hard, but then when you get out there, it's actually harder.
It's harder.
Yeah, it's harder. It's life right in front of you. And yeah.
What are you studying?
I studied financial economics in Strathmore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And yourself, Kevin?
I'm studying law. Just like she said, when you get to the job market, actually it's so different from like when you're in class, yes. Because it's like a pilot study that you do. So actually applying the little skills you have before getting to the real thing is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So hopefully we're going to try and find out how we can navigate some of those challenges a little bit easier with the help of David here. So let's talk about social media and technology for a minute, because I feel like employers are more approachable in this day and age, right? You follow them on Twitter. They have a website. You kind of feel like you can approach them that way. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how that has changed the whole employment game.
I don't know, I was looking on LinkedIn this morning, waking up and checking the email, and you see that kind of the top employers are companies that didn't even exist 20 years ago. The Google's, Microsoft has been there a little longer. So the whole sector has changed, and I think it's tough for university students. I used to be a director in the consulting practice, and we did the private university study and the graduate labor market study for the Commission for Higher Education and the World Bank. And in those days, I mean, the average university student took 2.5 years to get into employment. And now it would be longer. But I think there's a way, I mean, certain skills, we've done work for Nairobits, which is an NGO that has its, trains young people in ICT skills from informal settlements. And they have a program, and their graduates get picked up right away, and they haven't even gone through university. So I think, it's incredibly competitive out there with the output coming out from public and private universities. So I think one needs to, without being unduly mercantile or crass, one kind of needs to come up with a USP and figure out how to market yourself focusing on your strengths. Easy to say, that's the theory, but very tough to do.
Yeah, we talk all the time about tarmacking and the amount of time, like you're saying, that it takes you to actually track down the companies that you're interested in, get your CV together, and get the whole process. Because it can take quite a while for people. What have you heard from your friends? How long are people taking to get jobs according to what you've just experienced or heard?
Okay, I think for my classmates, it's a bit better, like 6 months at most.
Yeah.
Some people got hired a week after school, and
that's fantastic.
Yeah. it's not 2 years is long.
2 years, yeah, I think that used to be probably what happened in the past, but now it's getting a little bit easier. Kevin, what's your experience?
With my experience, when I joined campus, I actually had many friends who were like 3-4 years ahead of me.
Okay.
And most of them, they didn't get the jobs immediately, and what they used to say is that the qualifications and exactly what the employers want, some of them could not meet such criteria. Some of them used to read the papers, and when you see the phrase that says 5 years experience, they really get demoralized.
You're like, where am I getting this 5 years? I'm straight out of.
So the question was, where does the so to say, the green graduate in the job market for.
Yeah. It's a tough one. You know, do you feel like employers are more accessible now because of social media? Is that something I'm making up in my head, or do you feel like, because I see a lot of young people, you know, just following, especially in the media industry, they'll follow these CEOs and just say, can I DM you my contacts? Can you get back to me? I'm looking for a job. Do you feel like that's made things easier at all?
I don't think so.
So you've never tracked down an employer on social media?
I have, but then getting a reply,
they don't reply.
It's so hard.
Okay. Have you?
I think it's the same, though that maybe for us would say getting the job market outside there, for example, those people looking for opportunities in companies, there we find that in the social media they're quite vast than before, when we just used to say, when I leave campus I want to work for so and so.
You already know that you have this plan.
You have this plan. So when you get outside there, then you realize, wow, it's even wider. But in terms of really getting one-on-one with the top bosses, I don't think that works.
Then if you send a DM, they probably get hundreds of those a day. David, do you feel like employers need to change their strategy in dealing with today's generation of people? Because one phrase that we've used quite a bit on the show this week is the microwave generation, where they expect things much quicker than they probably should, or than reality. So they're expecting things to happen quicker. They're expecting if they send a message to an employer on social media, they'll get a reply, or even a text message if you happen to find this person's number. So how has that changed from an employer's standpoint?
Yeah, no, I think for young people, for all of us, I mean, it's not only young people, response times are kind of always indicative. I think all of us have kind of three things. We all have knowledge, skills, and mindset. So universities, Nazarene and Strathmore are turning out graduates that have that knowledge of financial economics, but somehow you've got to be able to turn that knowledge into skills. And the most critical thing, which I think places like Strathmore are famous for inculcating, is a sense of mindset. So when you expect, it's like, we SMS generation. You send an SMS to your friend, you expect a response right away. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen with employers. I am always fascinated by people's response time. Some people half a world away, you'll get a response in the next 20 minutes. Someone down the street, you'll get a response in 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, or never. So some people are quite unresponsive. So I think somehow you have to be able to offer something unique. Kind of the ideal would be to offer specialized skills that are in demand with an employer.
There's this whole idea of this generation being a little bit entitled. I didn't say this, people said this, okay? Being a little bit entitled and feeling like, since I do have access to these people via social media, or I happen to have their number, I can just send a text message. I've heard stories of people sending text messages to a CEO of a company that you want to work for and saying, hey, I got your number. Bad grammar, I got your number from so-and-so, emojis, I mean, and then people actually, no, I'm not talking about you again, but there are people doing this, and people actually expect a response. Is this something that you would ever attempt to do? If you got the number of the CEO to the company that you wanted to work for, would you text them?
No, I would not. Because I believe protocol has to be observed. Like you said, when it comes to language, like they call us the Xasa generation. So also, like you see, we have to go, like students really have to do interviews. Even if the CEO sees your SMS and says, fine, you'll have to be in the office at 8, we really have to assess you, because he cannot just reply and say, you're hired. Because we'll go there, and the next thing is that you're in a meeting and we are still applying the Xasa language. So I think we just have to adapt the criteria that interviews have to be done. What our students don't really like, I'd say, is being told, we'll call you, don't call us. Maybe the response time of an interview should be wait for maybe an hour, and you're told there and then if you have the job or not. Because going out and then waiting for days, I think that's where the really problem is.
Days are a problem? You know that people make you wait more than days. What do you have to say about that?
I think when you're dealing with employers, I think you have to kind of look at it from their mindset. Kevin mentioned that he wanted to go into human rights law. So I mean, doing the research about what does this particular, whether it's in the public sector or the NGO, just kind of doing the background research and being able to meet their needs, kind of getting inside their head and anticipating, having a mental model of what are these people really looking at, and not kind of being a con person, like you're trying to sell timeshare or something. Sorry, I'm not suggesting timeshare or con people, but just kind of being honest with a sense of integrity and saying, these are my strengths, hey, give me a chance, and even offering to work on a I guess people would get upset if you said work for free, but hey, why don't you let me work for a period of a week? Hey, just give me a chance. And if you don't like me, let's say, masalana, that's fine, that's it.
So do you think it's reasonable for someone to expect to go into an interview and know that same day or within an hour, like he's saying, whether you've gotten the job or not?
It's always, I guess, difficult to tell. And then some people, the most disappointing thing, you think you had a quite positive experience and people never get back to you, which is kind of quite dispiriting. So I think the important thing for people to know is it's not only happening in Kenya. Kenya has a very young population, but it's all over the world. It's not really unique to Kenya.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was talking to a friend of mine who works in the States, and she told me that responses are gotten in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So and then
you think that can be implemented here?
Yeah, I think
you see that happening.
I think it would be nice. I don't think it would cost them so much to just respond faster, because now we also need to okay, I got this, I didn't. What's my next plan? Sometimes you just waste 2 months saying I'll get that job, and then it doesn't come.
Hoping for something that you're never going to really find out about. And you guys are model students and citizens, and I know you've never sent those messages that I was talking about, SAC-SEMA, but I know a friend of mine who was looking for some people to hire some interns, and he got some CVs. This was by email. But it was all just the poor grammar, the UA as you are. The language that you use with your friends on WhatsApp has now translated into the language that some young people are using to seek employment. I know you would never do that, but what would you say to a person who does that, or if you saw one of your friends doing that?
I think it should be taught in school. That you should present yourself, you should sell yourself well.
Right.
You should actually put as much effort as you did in your studies in preparing your CV, your cover letter, and how you present yourself at interviews, because it's very important. Because you don't expect to get a job from someone and you're presenting a shabby image. Then when you do that, you don't have an excuse. You can't say, oh, there are no jobs. Really, it's just...
So is that something that is currently taught, or you're saying it should be taught?
Okay.
Were you taught how to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You spoke about selling yourself. And David, what is it that employers look for? Let's say you happen to have a chance meeting with either one of these two wanting to be employed at your company. What is it that you're looking for? How is it that they can sell themselves or stand out in a way that you'll remember and say, that person has something special, I think I'll follow up on that?
I don't know. I'd go back to knowledge, skills, mindset. I guess all of us, if you ask someone, how long does it take you to make your mind up about someone? And those people will say, oh, well, maybe a day, maybe 2 days. But the truth is, when you meet someone in your gray matter, you make your mind up about them in the next 1 or 2 minutes based on all sorts of prejudices and biases. So obviously, first impressions mean. But I think, my only advice would be for someone to just be themselves. Act with a sense of building on your strengths and a sense of integrity. Here's what I am. Here's what I have to offer. Give me a chance. And I think one of the things we never kind of talk about is inevitably one's going to be rejected. There's always going to be that kind of sense of, gee whiz, I failed. But that's kind of par for the course. That's how it is. No one, even Mr. Obama, didn't, you know, send out, he started as a community organizer. He didn't send out his CV and people ran all over the map to hire them. He had to really kind of study and work to become this unusual person that he is today.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but a couple weeks ago on Twitter I saw a story of a young woman who had a degree, I believe, in engineering or something, and didn't have a job, so she wrote a big sign and was holding it up by the side of the street saying, I have a degree in this, I have CVs with me, you know, this is my number, somebody give me a job. And she ended up getting a job, is my understanding of that. I mean, and that's bold, but it's also using, you know, people took pictures of it and went viral. Would you ever do that? I mean, would you stand out like that? Because that's also selling yourself in a very, very bold way.
I think everyone has their own unique way of selling themselves. But like he said earlier, just focus on your strengths. Then how you market yourself. I think with us young people, we really ignore the minute details. Yes, you might be having that degree, but like we said, back then we used to be taught how to write a proper application letter. Remember, there's a specific template of writing a CV that keeps on changing, that mostly we ignore the minute details. So you find, because we're used to, you know, writing short message services, and you know, our grammar changed. So you find even writing the application letter, you forget how the addresses are supposed to be arranged. So like you said, the first impression the employer will look at, even minute details like a comma and writing the read.
Just punctuation.
So I think those are some of the things that really lock us out, because remember, we are many. So the process for, you know, selecting people has to be quite tough.
Do you feel like you have a selling point? Do you feel like there's something that you're always prepared with that's unique about you, that if you happen to run into an employer or somebody in a position of power, that you can easily sell yourself?
I think my mouth and talk.
That's your gift.
I don't think I have limits. Like, if I meet him and I know that he can get me a job, I don't think I would be like, no, I have to observe protocol. I'll just go right in and tell him, look, this is what I can do for you, and this is who I am, and I think it would be nice to give me that opportunity.
In terms of using social media like that young lady did, or doing something so crazy that it goes viral, is that something that you think that you would be willing to do?
I think so, but it depends on circumstances.
On the side of the street, like, look, this is me and I need a job.
I think circumstances push people to do such things.
Exactly.
So if I got to that point, I don't think I would stop. I would just continue with anything to get there.
David, what's the difference between a young person being confident in their skills and their education and everything like that, and being probably maybe rude? It's a fine line, I think. How do you differentiate that?
I think there's a need to be persistent and really kind of hustle with that kind of unique selling proposition. But at the same time, you don't want that sense of hustle to get into a sense of harassment. I think you also have to look at it from the employer's side. When you've seen, I mean, anyone will advertise for a job now, and thanks to social media, you'll easily get 300, 1,000 applications. And if you look at everyone's CV, they're remarkably the same. Everyone says, you know, they're analytical, teamwork, basically they can walk on water. So somehow you really need to come up with something that's distinctive. And I think also kind of moving out these second contacts, really kind of networking around, because your friends know what you know, but your friends' friends are in a kind of a different circle.
It is a fine line, like you're saying, because you can get overly persistent, be that hustler who's like, no, I'm not, you know, because people say chase your dreams. I'm not going to stop until, and then that's how you get blocked on social media at some point in time. And I think also there's a respect level that has to go into this when you are approaching a person in a position of power, or, you know, a CEO. And that entitlement thing I was talking about earlier, where you don't just feel like, you know what, I'm the best, this person needs to give me, you know, they would be lucky to have me, I'm the best social media expert that they ever,
okay,
you know.
No, not that way, that's wrong, that's rude. But I was saying, like, I think if you get an opportunity to network with some of these people, that's when you take the opportunity to just tell yourself, and
Yeah. But also remember that there are other people also trying to sell themselves at that particular point in time.
So why wouldn't you know it? Why will you let other people sell themselves?
You got to be a little bit aggressive with it. What are your thoughts on that, Kevin?
These days, I think it has changed because we have programs that usually run, especially in our school, where they bring different CEOs just to come and talk to us before now getting into the job market. So they tell you what exactly they want. In fact, I came to learn that mostly image consultants these days carry out the interviews. So you go into a company not expecting to see the MD, and you just see a different panel. And like we said, you don't just go and talk anyhow to someone. Communication skills have to be on at an aptitude level, because us young people, actually, with the media also, I would say it's just distorted our way of communication.
It's the media's fault now?
It's not the fault, but remember, it has its own merits and demerits.
Yeah.
And us young people, we are the ones who,
I think just access to all of the information that we have, and the internet, and all these, different technology, that we can access so much information. Feel like, a lot of people, especially in media, will, approach a situation thinking, I'm the next big thing. You guys don't even know. Let me tell. And so, a fine line in there, I think, also in that respect. So, we have established the fact that social media, digital technology has changed approachability to employers and, access to information. So what would you be looking for from an employer? Because you're also bringing a skill to the table, right? It's not just you chasing down this person like, please, please, please help me. You're also bringing something to the table. So what is it that you think employers can do differently when dealing with young people, maybe fresh out of university, looking for a job?
What they can do before they hire you, or
just the whole entire process. How can they make it easier for you? Or more comfortable, or how can they become more approachable? Or do you feel like there's anything that they can do differently? Are you okay with everything?
I would say maybe the expectations. I would argue that the expectations for a fresh graduate from the university should be at least lowered, because when you enter into the company, for example, like maybe we should not even expect to be paid maybe for the first 3 months,
right,
and just do a pilot program first, so that you are acquainted with now the higher standards of what you should actually do there.
Yeah. But those 5 years experience, you said, get rid of that.
That can be scrapped out.
And another thing that came up, I think, was the response time. Sort of getting back to people and letting them know yay or nay. David, any last words on anything we've talked about today?
Maybe we kind of need to rethink and conceptualize that exactly on the demand side, on the employer side, give people a lot more opportunities in terms of shadowing. So it's not the traditional paid employment. There's a shadowing, there's a chance to come in and work on particular projects or assignments. I think it's not what people are looking for is that work experience. That's the crucial thing. And what's happening in the back of your mind is, if we hire this person, how are they really going to help me? How productive are they going to be? And you also find in interviews, sometimes people can be quite adept and charming, and you go, wow. But then on the job,
they kind of get comfortable, like, all right, well, I'm here now, so let me just make myself comfortable. Any last words from you?
Yeah, I'd like to encourage the young people that it's hard for everyone. So I think we should just put more effort into selling ourselves and making ourselves better every day. So that by the time you land a job, you're at your best. And Yes.
Well, I think you guys are both amazing. You've done some amazing training, of course, and seem prepared for the job market. I think you're model citizens. None of the emojis and saksema in your job application, so that's fantastic. Thank you all for being here today and for that discussion. I hope that you all have learned something. Use the hashtag Power Breakfast if you have any comments on this. We're going to head over to the band for some musical entertainment. Stay with us.